The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Alright.
Tokiori, 僕は思うのだよ、ワトソン。ホームズは物憂げに首を振り言った。我々が目にする事件は本当にそれが全てなのだろうか。その裏側に誰も知るもののない物語が隠れているかもしれない。ハーブティーから立ち上る湯気を追うその夢見るような眼差しの先には、きっとあの雪の日の夕刻の情景が浮かんでいたのだと思う。ブライアーロードの歩道に倒れ伏した若い女性とその背に刺さった狂人。ガス灯の明かりが柔らかく切り取った奇怪な事件現場の情景。不可解な姿なき犯人の事件は薄い霧の中静かに幕を開けたのだった。
19th February, 9:47 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms are so luxurious. I felt like we were staying in a palace. With all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Buria, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it was really the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops. Sorry about that. The building was so impressive, and the entrance was so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. Holy crap! I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Ah, good morning to you at this early hour. Oh, yes, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We had come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. She says that the sun is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And, in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been appraised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh! No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern island. Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. Wow, it was that easy. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that it won't be a problem. Another case already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than a practical experience. I'm sure. I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. Well, Lord Venseeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, couldn't have asked for a better defense. And he's getting away with it. I just can't help wondering, Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo, it's just I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let him trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus McGill passed away immediately following the trial. No. What? Mr. McGilded is dead? Dude, was he the one stuck inside? Holy crap. I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Holy crap, he died? I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime in which Mr. McGilded had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already. The police have identified a corpse, found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGilded. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. The bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. An inspection of the omnibus. Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGilded talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. The matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was, wow. Mr. Neto means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Susato-san has such a way with words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to make contrary, Lord Stronghair, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much, at least, is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I have prepared a new case for you, that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he gonna say before? It's all a conspiracy. Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry. There's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did you just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died, as of yet. And the trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. Ha. So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Nedahodo. I don't know if I could stay standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilda's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There's one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there's currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Ugh. Here we go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There's now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There's something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked, so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself, and there's another thing. Oh. Another thing? Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important. What exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done... You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you to both focus your attention on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to appraise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. There's something very important I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I've been just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. What is that? Those look like fries. Let me take a sip of water in my throats. Really dry today for some reason. Oh, I guess we can look around here, which is interesting. This must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. Looks more like the overtop tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination working again, Mr. Naruhodo. Just like everything that's normally made out of wood and paper at home. It's made of bricks and stone here. I know. That's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some sort of giant clock. But the gears are larger than anything you'd find on a steam locomotive even. It's eerie. Do you think clocks are some sort of hobby of his? The Lord Chief Justice, I mean. Well, boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size. I'm sure you wouldn't call him a boy. Still, it's amazing how little noise the clocks make considering how large they are. There's actually something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. Just look at all the naughty books packed together on these shelves. They go from floor to ceiling. And they're all books that you couldn't hope to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all about British law either. There are books about the justices of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about the Lord Chief Justice. I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how do you say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? I think perhaps it's a lot best abandoned. Look at these menacing metal giants facing each other across the room. I believe they're suits of armor. Oh, right. I thought maybe they were like lion dogs we have in Japan guarding shrine gates. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, you know. They roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is there nothing you don't know, Mr. Sato? This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If you're ever unsure, just ask. Where did you get that incredible tome? The book about everything. Okay, anything else to inspect here? Oh, we can go to our sides, I guess. That's interesting. Oh, nothing special. Let's go this way. What an interesting room. Alright, we can talk to him now. They are fried. Those are potatoes. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? What? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know? But Miss Susato told me it was foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here to give the likes of you a talking to. I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt up from a country I've never even heard of. Heard that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Yunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. No. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. Brr. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable! How did you pull that off? So, Lord Stronghorn asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does this detective name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? I reckon like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Rance Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all of the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. And that's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. And that he is not. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known over London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and then my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. Fame's gone to his head, stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying. But I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. I'm sure it's eggs or zigs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps our sudden rise to fame doesn't change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means... As far as we're concerned as lawyers, couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on the Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital, unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a successful takedown, would you? That's neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Yunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So, there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Or perhaps a liable witness who recognized the person in question? Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Bach van Zieks. No. Sound like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord van Zieks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Bach van Zieks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zieks stands for the prosecution, they call them the accused as sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. The Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zieks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. And what of it? Oh, well, I think... That means that if we get the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. No. Magnus McGilda came a cropper in that omnibus when they went up in flames. So you haven't rightly say that you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. I have a good long look about that, if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Right, well, I filled you in as requested, and I'm very nearly out of chips. I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, Mom. If you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You branded him a criminal already? He's as good as. Shaking like a leaf in his cell, he is. It'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Ask the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in the court again is... Well, If you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man they have arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'm able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try. So I think I'm gonna make some inquiries. Will you help? Do you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes. Let's go. Alrighty. The office of Lord Chief Justice Strongheart in Britain's capital city, London. Its grandstone architecture and the echoey tick of the vast cogwheels lend it an air of authority. I always feel an itch here, but there are so many interesting books I wish I could borrow. Briar Road, the scene of the crime. The prison cell. These prison cells are where suspects are held in which they await trial. Visiting is permitted at certain times. Okay, should we visit the crime scene or talk to the guy first? Let's talk to them first. I think that's what I want to do. Whoa, dang, so dark. 19th February, local prison cell 9. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these stone-cold walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruto. You're making it seem worse. Apparently, our client is in the cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is there to see you. Stop by at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I? Am I a cat? As yet with no name? Calling me by a number. It's utterly unbelievably unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruto, what do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints wasn't Japanese. Oh no. Excuse me, but... Shh! Quiet! Are you okay, sir? They're all around. Hiding. I know they are. They're watching. Listening. Even now. I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you exactly... There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost! A ghost? I mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you... Japanese by any chance? Oh, man. Wonder what happened with this guy, dang. He was, like, all confused and stuff. This is... Beyond my wildest dreams! Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice in this damp, dark hellhole was a... most monumentally moving moment. Well, I guess that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us turned out to be a fellow Japanese. Who can patch my fellow countrymen show? She dispatched a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never failing Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example. Yes, I can, I will. Shut, stay sullen and silent. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Yunosuke Naruhodo. I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notoriously named Natsume. Soseki Natsume. Soseki Natsume-san? What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No! Don't be a pussy. It's much more fine than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did he say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this is beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something, does it mean you can do it? No! What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day, I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white. Wash it. You must be a man of great standing. Oh, yes. So I'm often told. I often like to be told, it seems. The accusation against you. Do you have to tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san? I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder. Murder? Oh, no. It's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife. Right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? Have I seen the person who did it? Do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear. It seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse. It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, excusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? As I was walking along that cursed pavement, I could make out the silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I wanted to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold hard slabs of stone at my feet. Oh my gosh. How terrible. I was like freaking out. I called up to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps? I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs could carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English? And a young woman at that. I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san. At the time it happened. Who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably. Apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san had just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that I didn't know the victim and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. You... What did you say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops. Perhaps I thought that a little loudly. Actually, that's not what's troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim and there was nobody at the scene to see him. How did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh, yes, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective? Could it be? I should never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody be gone. May you be accursed until the end of your days. Herlock Sholmes. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes? Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police, put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes. It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the white-wielding madman. Me? This weak, stupid kitten of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. You mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you weren't. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me. In impossible English. English, foreign, film, flummery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, but my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in medicals. And before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo, and when we're speaking English. A simple mister is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright, yes. They've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you, to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. But, a student? I have defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. At this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband! That's a market defense lawyer from our great empire! It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers. All the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness. Why do you say that? For the same reason, as you noted before, when it happened. There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. I had even the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong! I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on these streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it. Couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Soseki-san. It's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? I shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Alright. So that must be all the conversations. Let's, move through the, scene of the crime, I guess. Okay, I just want to make sure we're not missing anything. It is cold. 19th February, Briar Road. So this is where it happened, Briar Road. Oh, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here, and they're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Naruhodo, to see one with my very own eyes. I've often depicted in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but I never dreamt I'd come to this close. To a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Hehe. Of course. Oh, I have to try it on one day. Well, I hope your Patty dream comes true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't on the tourist trail, I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells, then? What do you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. Doesn't bother me. This bloke's in the court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Ugh, the stone cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone cold air. That makes it worse somehow. Okay, let's chat a bit. Scotland Yard. Scotland Yard. Tell you about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, man. Oh, and you know I've always dreamt about wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You suddenly get a sense that this is the man who will take no nonsense in his duty protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? London Bobby's hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round the houses and all the labourers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yup. Rapping on the windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby who works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. They wake people up? That's so interesting. I mean, I'm sure they don't do that anymore, but that's interesting that they would do that. That they did that back in the day. 20 miles. It's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. When it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting the gas street lamps. Oh my. I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you called it in between exactly, more alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. That's a lot of freaking work. Oh, he's dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Happened around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with the blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in the hospital. Never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. Suppose that means they won't be able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area if I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers, defendant suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Local map. A street of the local area showing where the victim was found. Anyway. As far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean that we can be sure nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. It what? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. What? It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There are witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife. The man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens of all of London. He's a copper from the Scotland Yard. A policeman? That might change things. The policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked? Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a Bobby. Catching them in the banging the action and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guess. You can ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Oh. I have no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So, that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting me the man beforehand, it seems. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me about that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The colors changed from his cheeks. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was a result of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle. But The man's an amateur. I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh, I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Have you seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Rant's magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Sherlock Holmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, seems to fit to include several of the odds detectives in their stories. The so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the yard, it's a misadventure to be included in all of Sherlock Holmes' tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. Oh. Sorry, my controller disconnected? Okay, there we go. We work our socks up, every one of us, only to be frumped by that public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. The twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt will touch that case with the barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. So it is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper hasn't appeared in court for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right, he handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say what the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No. There's got to be more to it. Somebody has taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? I think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness. Have to ask him yourself for tomorrow's trial. We're really going to have to face the Reaper again? Lord of Darkness, as he put it. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Nandahola, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Sholmes again. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even, so it's Baker Street. How did you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Suzuto-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage. So we're to have a reunion already. The great detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Alright. New location has been added. Let's read these descriptions really quick though. The scene of the crime is fairly wide, so that easily accommodates characters lined on both sides by tall brick townhouses. The prison cell where the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is being held is quiet and the light from the candle is dim, but there's little chance of sleeping. Oh, that's why he must be so tired, I guess. Okay, so I think we'll stop here. It is midnight here, and I think I need to stop a little bit early because my voice is like really crackly for some reason today. But yeah, I'll be back with a different game tomorrow because it's a new release game. It's called Dodgeball Academia. It should be interesting. It looked really fun, so I wanted to try it out. So please look forward to that tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be back with this the next day, I think. After that, so yeah, that's what I have planned. You can check the schedule to see what exactly is going on. But anyways, yeah, I think I need to rest my voice. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will be back tomorrow. Goodbye.